so it's being recorded now. So the Nito and Tracy started working on the persona piece. I think we need to break that out as a new document, so we can. Right now, it's in a GitHub issue. I think we need to break out as a document. So that way we can all start collaborating on it. Well, do you think it's a Google Doc to start with, Tracy?
I'm not sure. Right now, we just have it, and we're just keeping notes inside of GitHub.
I know, and with this, I mean, we need to get out of
Yeah.
GitHub.
Yeah, I'll put it in Google Docs.
Okay. The other thing we could do is a markdown. Either way.
I mean, I'm a huge markdown for technical documentation, but if you're collaborating on something like this, Google Docs is usually a lot easier for folks.
Yeah.
I'll put it in a Google Doc.
Okay.
And we can move that to markdown later.
Yeah, that's what I always like to do is, like you said, the collaboration is a lot easier on the Google Doc, and then we'll once it gets solidified, move it to markdown. So I think the personas are really going to start driving some of these. It's going to drive the sign up process, and basically the getting started process is going to be driven by the personas. So if we have somebody that's a developer, they're going to have a different view of the world versus somebody that's a Jenkins admin versus somebody that's looking at SRE doing log file analysis, and those types of things. So I think the next step is to really look at the personas, get those broken out, and how it's going to affect the sign up process and how we get people going at the start, and what they need to see. The data is there. What we need to make sure is that we're getting the data to the right person, so they can see the value in Ortelius. Tracy, was there anything else you wanted to cover on the adoption part?
Nope.
So the big things that we want to focus on is adoption. Tracy, you call them your big rocks.
Yep. So I'm writing down the stuff that you guys have just been talking about, because obviously that's what you guys want to focus on. So goals, I would say, for Q1 and Q2. Goals for Q1 and Q2. I would say that the website redesign, that's gotten a lot of attention. We're meeting with Mark Waite on Friday, tomorrow morning. He's going to go through how they did Jenkins, which is awesome that they're doing that for us. And then one of my areas I feel like we need to work on is the data, how we're displaying the data. I think that our maps look great, but I don't know if they're going to be able to handle as much data as they need to. So we did it. There was a Argo presentation, and I thought some of the Argo visualizations were pretty interesting, that the way they were doing it. And then the third one for Q1 and Q2 would be to increase adoption by using some kind of scraping of AWS GKE.
Yeah,
and then I put for Q3 and 4 right now is to get our first marketplace published. That may happen sooner if we can do something with Sandia. But I think that before we run down that too fast, we really need to get the visualizations clean. And then we need to start working on converting all that DM script over to Python.
Yeah, that's the engine.
So I broke them down into two, 6 month period, 6 months. I think that those three are pretty doable for the first half of the year. There's other things that we need to put in there, like integrations with Spinnaker. We need to look to see how we can integrate with Argo. But the really big rocks would be those 5 things for the year, I believe.
Yeah.
And if anybody else has any other ideas. Did I see Sasha join? Yes, he's there. Sasha, do you have any thoughts on what else we might want to add for
Sorry, I'm late,
2021?
guys. Yeah, not at the moment. Looks good.
Well, we have, I'm working on them now because I think that by December 1st, we're all going to go mushy. So if we can, sort them out for the team to understand what we know. I know for sure that Ortelius we have to get out of DM script. That's a big one. It's that if we can get a few of the Python, convert a few of those DM script. DM script is, let me show. Steve, would you bring up the documentation and show the DM script documentation?
So I actually spent a lot of time editing the DM script documentation, and I was sort of curious what the origins were. Is this something that you guys made up, or?
The person, his name is Phil Gibbs. He worked for OpenMake Software. We acquired his agentless engine several years back, and he wrote it. And we've never liked it. He was pretty attached to it because he wrote it. And,
That's good.
we're weird. People are weird, even though he wrote quite a bit and was really before. He was trying to write a language specific to doing deployments, and the problem with it is that you have to learn it. And if we can convert it into some of these calls into Python, even if they're some of the core, the ones that are more frequently used, it'll be a lot easier for people to use the product and customize around it. Because this really is the way we write any kind of integrations or actions or procedures. And it would be nice if the open source community could focus on building more plugins, but I think that in DM script, it's too hard.
And it's a funky language. Basically, what it's the goal of it is when we do a deployment, there's a stack of objects that are available. So at the highest level, you have an environment, which contains a set of endpoints, and you deploy a version of an application to an environment. And when you do that process, any of the key value pairs at the environment level are put on the stack, and then the application versions are put. Those variables are put in the stack, and then a component version is contained in the application version. So now we loop through all the components for this application version, and each component is actually tied to an endpoint in the environment, and the endpoint has attributes. So it builds up this stack of all these values that we get to use, and allows us to really do some nice logical deployments through the process. And this allows us to really separate the data from the definition. So for example, you can have your dev cluster could be in Minikube, your QA cluster could be in AKS, and your production one's going to be in EKS. The only difference between those environments is literally how you connect to the cluster. So you can actually set those variables up, those key value pairs at the environment level. Then the application and all the underlying deployment scripts just get passed in. Oh, I'm on AKS now. I need to go grab these variables, set up, do my call to AKS to authenticate. And from there on out, once I've authenticated and converted my kubectl config, I'm ready to go with the regular process. So that's the thought process of where it came from. you know, there's, if you get into the C code, there's Yak compilers that and Lex to deal with this scripting language that they created. It's a nightmare to debug, believe me. Going through and trying to figure out when something breaks, and the goal would be to probably, it looks like, moving this over to Python as the language, and the reason being is Python has the ability to do an evaluation on the fly of some strings of code, so we can actually inject things and still follow the stack, but inject user-defined procedures and functions and stuff like that into the deployment process. It's probably more than you ever wanted to know about DM script.
No. I'm really glad we're having this conversation now. This is great. So there's a couple of things that I wanted to bring up in this. So one is that I found 2 other examples of DM script on the web. There's one that's being used for crypto stuff, and the W3 used it for this dialogue manager script. And so I thought that was just hilarious that the name has been reused at least 3 times that we can find in 5 minutes. So that's awesome.
Yeah, and the reason why it's called DM script, so the original product that OpenMake Software bought from Phil Gibbs was called Deployment Manager, and it was tied very tightly into the CA Harvest SCM product. So they did a bunch of allowing the CA product to do deployments from when you do a check-in or a promote. You know, they have a whole life cycle model in Harvest. So it was actually called Deployment Manager. Then you'll see that we renamed it somewhere along the way to Release Engineer, and then finally got renamed one last time to Deploy Hub, and then to Ortelius as we split it out. It's the marketing people, Tracy, that wants to have things renamed all the time to line up with the market. So
well, this product is, I mean, there's the core of the original product, but it doesn't look anything like it used to. You know, the engine is what we were interested in, because the way it stacks things, it's able to also incrementally deploy things. And for microservices, that's really what was needed, to be able to not take a whole monolith and say, I have to redeploy everything in this, and just redeploy environment variables, even in a monolithic environment where you just want to change environment variables. So that's what we were attracted to. And that, it turns out, it actually is a very perfect solution for a microservices platform.
And you'll see some things that are really nice, like a RESTful GET is literally a one-liner and it returns a JSON string for you. So there's some power in the language, but this can be replaced with a few lines of Python code.
So I get going for Python. Python's all the hotness and all that, but like you talked about this being integrated with a bunch of C code, and so is the C core really not going to go away, and we're going to be wrapping that with some other language? Is that the way this works?
No, we would want to replace all the C code with another language. I just been going to Python as a default. It doesn't, you know, Go may be better suited for it. We'll have to see when we go to tackle this.
Okay, I mean, if we were trying to integrate with C code, I was going to recommend Lua, but if we're trashing that, then, you know, the field's more wide open.
Yeah, go to a language that's it's most common for people to be able to dig into, and C, not a lot of people know C anymore.
Right, you know, and I think Go is a good choice for this sort of thing. You know, Rust is gaining some popularity, but Go definitely seems to be better for people just being able to look at it and get it at the speed, and it looks sort of like C and is fast enough and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. It doesn't have to be super fast. And the other part is when we do a deployment under the covers, when we're talking Kubernetes, we're interacting with Helm. We can interact with the operator, but we haven't gone there yet. And then also on like regular file deployments, we need to move like a jar file out or do like a IIS website. Then we're just actually interacting with Ansible, and Ansible's all based on Python.
Yeah, we have our we've already done a lot of work around Ansible. So
Very nice. I like Ansible one. Cool. Yeah, I'm fine with it being Python. I just wanted to
well,
throw
no
those things
decisions
out
have to be made today, so we can think about it. And as we're not making this until the end of a year from now that we want this completed. It is a big project, but if Go is going to be more appropriate, I say we. And sometimes, it's what do we want to learn as a community, because we're trying to do this as a learning effort as well. So if Go is a good place to, that's a good alternative, and we all think, yeah, we'd like to learn Go, I think we should do Go.
Well, I think realistically, we have to look at adoption. That's what's going to come back to. If somebody having to learn Go to go ahead and customize Ortelius is a barrier, we need to consider that. That's like
Yeah.
Rust could be really cool, but it's one of those, I could learn it in a couple hours, but it's one of those, what can other people do with it?
I think Go is much more in that somebody can learn it in a couple of hours sort of thing. Rust is like you can get the idea in a couple of hours, and then a week later you might be getting the hang of it if you're lucky.
Right.
It's a lot harder learning curve with Rust from what I've seen.
So Aisha's on here and she hasn't said anything. I want to hear what she has to say about it.
Well, Nitu just said Go is becoming more popular and good for people's resumes.
Yeah, I just wanted to share that at USA, so when we are looking at what different languages to support and all that, Go, Python, they are much more popular than the other ones like Rust and others.
Cool. Nitu, really quick, I don't know if you jumped on, but we are going to break out the personas into a separate Google Doc so we can get a bunch of people contributing on it.
That would be great, actually. So I can start doing the persona discovery and all. Do we have something already?
Well, I responded to you, so if you want to just cut and paste that big paragraph that I wrote that broke out the initial ones and put it in a Google Doc, and then we can start collaborating from there.
Sounds good. Yeah, I just was thinking that I can start interviewing some people and, try to flush it out and then leave it out. I don't know. Let me see what you have posted. I'm just shooting blanks
yeah,
here.
I wrote a bunch about that, just all of my thoughts, on the different people that we have worked with.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that can be a good starting point for a shared doc.
Okay, and where should that doc be housed?
Just put it under, create a brand new one under the Ortelius group, Google group.
Okay.
And that way everybody will get it automatically. If you create it,
Mm-hmm.
you should have access to be able to create it under a Google group.
Yeah, I'll have to check. I'll let you know.
Yeah, if you don't, just tell me and I'll make sure you do.
Mm-hmm.
So, anything else we've gone over a little bit today?
Yeah, Aisha still hasn't chimed in. She's on mute and she doesn't have her camera on. She's there.
She's shy today.
Hey. Yeah.
There you are.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
So you've been doing a ton of
Hey.
work and it's great. It's awesome, the work that you've been doing. Good job. What are you thinking about different languages that we might want to use to convert all of this scripted code in? Do you think you would be, what are the people in your, you're in school right now, right?
No.
not?
I've been in industry for around like 9 years. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's even
So-
better. What do you think? Is Go a good language, or should we stick with something like Python?
Yeah, so actually in my company, if you say so, we have been doing Node and Python mainly for past couple of years, but recently there is a shift in Go that I can see. So basically, Node, Python, and Go is the language that we use in our company, and mostly in Pakistan. So if you ask my preference, so I have been doing Node.js for quite a while. I haven't done development lately, but if I have to pick based on my personal preference, then I would say I would rather go with Go, because yeah, it's I think it's more popular these days. And yes, I think it would be Python is like, I think it's I don't know, it's like too mainstream. Maybe it's been used a lot, so I think we should at least have some microservices in Go.
Good.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
just
Thank
to
you
give
for
you
chiming in on that.
so Helm is written in Go as well as Tecton are both written in Go, and same with Kubernetes.
And I don't think
Yep.
it would be a barrier, especially for the open source community if they want to learn. It's a perfect place to learn Go.
Yeah, sorry, my new job I got now, I have to learn Go. So if you want to go that route.
No problem. I have a suspicion
So-
you'll learn it in no time.
Yeah, so you know, a course is pretty new on Udemy when you see a guy filming from his garage.
Oh, a lot of things have been built in the garage.
yeah.
All of Microsoft.
All of Microsoft. That's right. All right. Well, I'm going to update the goals on the front page to the ones that we discussed. If anybody has any changes that they want to make, this is always a living document, but we'll get them at least defined at those 5 top goals, 3 in the first 2 quarters and 2 in the last. And being that the 2 in the last has this conversion to Go in it. And certainly we can, we can get somebody started on it so we can figure out how it's going to get done. And then we'll be able to create issues and have each of those DM functions as issues to work on.
Sounds like a plan.
It's going to take us a year to do it. Let's just put it that way. It's not an easy project. Now, one last thing. I know you guys, I want to first thank all of you for being on this call. We've had way too many Ortelius calls this week, so thank you very much for attending them. And if you attended the CDF one, thank you. It made a big difference to have so many, as I called you guys, the mappers on the call. It was noted. Tracy Miranda sent me an email and said, "Wow, you have a devoted community there. That's awesome." There is another one happening in 40 minutes. It's the interoperability. They want to see Ortelius there. I'm going to put oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I'll put I'm going to put the link in the chat, and I will also put it in discourse. So if you're interested, you're welcome to come. Great. But I know everybody has work to do.
And just to let everybody know that's doing some coding, I will have some stuff for you to bring in around database queries for our microservices. So keep a heads up on that. I'm going to try to get that out either today or tomorrow. So it'll be good to go.
That's what I have for the interoperability. I don't think that's right though. This is a Zoom meeting. Oh, it isn't right. Sorry. That is where the something else is. I can't find where I'm at.
Can I add another comment about the CDF meeting?
Yeah, please.
So the guy that came after you that had this beautiful long white hair.
Yes.
Had these 4 monitors behind him that were running the Matrix screensaver.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, man, we all need that office background. I mean, you look like you know what the hell you're doing when you got that stuff behind you. That was like really sharp.
Yeah, Dan was impressed by that. It was like everybody was like, "What the?"
That was classic. Eh?
Well, you know, Christopher, if you look, I got the part of it going on with all the crap in the background, like on the,
I
on the
really like your
spaceship.
art, Steve. Your art looks great. I really think you look like you're in a nice home. And I'm too embarrassed to like show my real background because of all the junk behind me. But he had it on.
Well,
Christopher,
actually,
your background is always very cool. I mean, yeah,
I think so
I
too.
always look forward to your background.
He's
So
very
funny.
festive. I love that he has Day of the Dead people up there now. That's awesome.
So the second one is the Zoom one, Tracy.
The second one is the Zoom one. I'm going to put that in the Discord channel right now in case, because this doesn't, you
Yeah,
know.
when we
But yeah, so they're just asking us to show Ortelius and Steve. I think what you need to focus on is just the integration pieces to the CI/CD. You can probably walk through the CI/CD documentation and show how we're doing integration. Or if
Oh.
you want to do like a demo of how we integrated to Circle CI, since that's sort of neutral.
I did not know we were doing a demo today.
Yes, it's on your calendar.
No, it's just said CDF meeting, and I don't go to those.
Oh,
So.
well, that's why I put it on your calendar. Well, now you know.
All right, no problem. All right, well, thank you, everybody. And if you have any, I'll for the people doing the microservice coding, I'll throw things out on Discord here shortly. Thank you, everybody. Have a good
Bye,
weekend.
guys.
All right.
Yeah,
Later.
you too.
Hey,
Stay safe.
bye.
Cheers, bye.
Bye.